going on, y'all? It's me again, Sean. Oh, my chair going down. It's crazy. It's me, Sean Swole, whatever you want to call me. We back again with another video with the follow-up. We going over the effects for the song "If I Were a Girl" by Emmanuel Keen. I ain't even going, talk too long. Let's get straight into it. So I'm gonna A/B this for y'all real quick. And if you look to the left, when these are muted like this, that means the effect will not be playing. You won't be able to hear it. But when it's unmuted, you'll be able to hear it. So I'm gonna just play it and I'm gonna A/B it, and y'all can listen to the differences.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fuck it, I'm getting to it. So many options I could abuse because men is stupid. Especially if I start to use what they want for fuel. And I found if I spread these legs in the entry, then I could roll them. Now don't.
All right, let's get into it for sure. So I'm gonna mute these other ones, and we're gonna start with the doubler. And on this doubler, so what I'm trying to achieve with this doubler, or really just any type of plugin, like I didn't use the actual doubler, like they have the Waves doubler. That's just why I have it called this, because that's what I usually use. But in this case, I used the little micro shift from Sound Toys. I just like the second setting, and I just clicked all three of them, and this is the one that I like the best. And it gives me a little width for the vocal, like some stereo information, and just some reflections. Some reflections for a little bit of depth, a little bit of realism in a way. It's like the beginning of putting this dry, stalely presented vocal in a space. So I'm gonna bypass this and A/B that real quick.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him.
It's very subtle. It's just kind of like putting information in the left and right speaker. And then I use this compressor before this, just so I can keep the vocal like very steady. I don't really want this to move around too much. I just want it to be there and kind of just set a little nice foundation. So I added this compressor.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me.
Simple stuff. And then I use this space modulator before, just give a little movement, a little vibe.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him.
And then I just EQ'd it. Very simple, very basic.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me.
I'm gonna turn this up a little louder so y'all can hear a little more.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fuck it, I'm getting to it. So many options I could abuse because men is stupid.
So I can kind of hear what those changes do there. And we're gonna mute this for now. We're gonna go to this delay. Now this is a basic delay. It's nothing extravagant. It's Sound Toys Echo Boy. Everybody uses this. So
if I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga.
Turn it up a little bit for y'all. All I really did is just mess with the low cut and the high cut to where it felt right to me. Turn up the saturation a little bit. You select your style on here. You got a lot of choices. I liked FM radio, so I went with that. It's possible I mess with the style edit stuff down here. I don't remember, but oftentimes I do. I usually mess with the groove and feel, but I didn't this time. You just adjust this to how you like it. So let me bypass everything else so y'all can hear where it started.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga.
Right there. And then after that, I probably put this air flanger on it.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him.
It's a little more vibe. And then a sidechain compressor just so it's ducking out of the way of the lead vocal a little bit while the vocal is speaking, while he's rapping. And then when he stops, it kind of comes back up and fills those spaces a little bit.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country.
It kind of lets it be a little more forward, and that delay is kind of in the back, but when it needs to, it comes a little bit more in the front seat. But I kind of want it to be in the back a little bit. I want you to be paying attention and listening to what he's saying, not focusing on the delay. But I want you to hear it when you need to hear it. And this is something that you need to do in context with, well, at least I like to do in context with the music. when I'm setting that level, so I know where it is, where you can sense it and you can detect it, but it's not distracting you. It's not taking your attention away from the lead.
If I
And
were
then the next thing, EQ. Just EQing it so I can put it in the place that I want it to be in and give it the tone and the shape that I want it to have as well.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him.
So me listening to that, I'm furthermore putting it in that pocket in the back, just putting in the back seat, and then right here, I usually go back and kind of clean up some of those frequencies that I'm sending to the delay before. In this case, this is all I did, nothing too crazy.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me.
Easy light work stuff right there, right? And so let's see what we got for the reverb. I use this reverb quite often. This is free from Valhalla Supermassive. I like the small and wide preset. It's another one in here. Small and wide I use. What else do I use oftentimes? There's another one that I use a lot. I think it might be in ambience. I think I use small dark room a lot as well. Just really good, tight, nice and easy spaces to use on rap vocals, honestly, most of the time. Just put it in a nice little space. Like it's just nice and easy. It's, I don't know. These plugins are, I mean, these settings are a little unorthodox and unusual for your normal reverb, but it just works for me. So yeah, this is what I used on here, and I might have tweaked the settings. I might not have. I don't know. Probably did, but I don't remember. But I'll A/B that for y'all real quick.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fucking I'm.
So that's what it sounds like. Sounds like a little space, you know. And then I'll turn it up a little bit more so y'all can hear that.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out.
And then right from there, I put this fuzz wall on it, and I like this because I like the saturation and just the drive you can get and the texture that you can get from this. It kind of just helps with the sound that I'm going for with a lot of effects. So I'll A/B that for y'all.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him.
Like for me, the sound, like the reverb sound, is kind of cold, almost like doctor's officey. And then I put this on it, and it warms it up, and it makes it in just a different space to me. So I'll A/B that for y'all one more time.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country.
There you go. And then a little sidechain compression, just so that, again, this is ducking a little bit out of the way of the lead vocal, and you're still getting that rap present in the forefront. I don't always sidechain my effects, but oftentimes for rap, I tend to, because it depends on the rap, but I want it to be in your face kind of sometimes. It just depends on the song. But in this case, he was very intentional and emotional with what he's talking about here, so I wanted that to be heard and felt. And I didn't want these effects to get in the way of that. So that's why I did that on this song.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga.
Simple stuff right there. And then EQing it just to make it sound the way I wanted it to sound.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate.
You kind of hear how the tone of the vocal changes as well when I A/B this, and the placement of it changes as well. Like you could do a lot with just EQing your effects on how, with volume, yes, and with EQ, with how the vocal is presented, just with effects. So let me bring that back down. Oh, also, before it, I did a little EQing. I like to EQ what I'm sending into the reverb. Kind of just gives me a different sound, maybe a cleaner sound sometime. Maybe I want it to be a little bit of a dirtier sound. It just depends on the situation. But I'll A/B that for y'all.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple days to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fucking, I'm getting to it. So many options I could abuse because men are stupid.
Clean that up a little bit. And then the last reverb, put two of them on here. This one is the little plate from Sound Toys. Nice plate reverb here. Let me bypass these other plugins.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I.
And I like saturating or doing something, adding some color to most reverb plugins. It's just a personal thing because I kind of feel like they all sound kind of cold. And sometimes I do want a cold reverb, but oftentimes I don't want a cold reverb. I want something a little warm, a little, if it's gonna be cold, maybe cool, maybe watery, like I want it to swim. But oftentimes to me they sound just kind of cold, like doctor's officey, like hospital vibes, and I'm like, that's not what I'm looking for. So I put this decapitator on here. I guess I should tell y'all what I did on here on the little plate. I did a low cut. I don't know what this is. Oh, 495. That's crazy. I didn't look at the number. I just low cut it to where it sounded right to me, and then that's pretty much it. Put it on the decay that I wanted, and we left it like that. And then I add this decapitator on it to kind of warm it up a little bit, give it a little more of the sound that I'm looking for.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fuck it, I'm getting to it. So many y'all.
It's just kind of basically turned the knob from bright to dark a little bit more. Drove it a little bit. A little bit of high cut, low cut going on here. That's about it. Oh, turn the mix down just a tad. And then after that, I use the air chorus.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want.
A little movement, a little slight spread as well. Then side chained it again.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince.
Just want to keep that vocal very up front, and then EQ'd it because it was still a little too cold, still a little too bright for me.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country.
And then also, excuse me, before this little plate, because it doesn't have a. Let me drink some water. Yeah, my bad. I had to drink some water real quick. But before this, I like using a delay because it doesn't have a pre-delay on this plugin. So I just use a stock delay from Pro Tools and just 15 milliseconds. You just turn it up to the way it feels right. So I'll A-B that for y'all.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust it.
I don't know if y'all can hear that, but the vocal seems to spring forward just a little bit more when you use a pre-delay. And that's part of the reason why I used it here. But, yeah. And now I'll give y'all a little. This is kind of unusual for me, actually. I usually don't high pass this that much, but, you do what sounds right and what you're going for. And so when I high pass it up to this point, it just felt right. It felt like the space that I was hearing in my head. So I'll A-B that for y'all real quick.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it?
So that's what that sounds like. And also, this has to be heard. I'm doing this in solo so y'all can hear it, but this is something that I listen to. I start out in solo, but I listen to it in context and I make adjustments for everything in context. And this reverb kind of sounds crazy right now, low key. But when you blend these both together.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want him.
Like they work together and they're both occupying slightly different areas and doing slightly different jobs. But when they combine together, it creates that space. And that's really when all these effects combine together. They create that space that I'm looking for. So I'll have the reverbs playing, and then I'll bring in this doubler and then the quarter note.
If I were a girl, I would scam niggas out their money. Go on multiple dates to convince them to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so we dust to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flights out the country. Who else gonna do it? Fuck it, I'm getting to it. So many options I could abuse because men are stupid. Especially if I start to use what they want for fuel. And I found if I spread these legs in the answer, then I could roll them. Not only that, since I'm female, I get compassion. I could practically kill him and no one will hold me captive. It seems as though society lets me move in this fashion. In fact, they hate it if I'm held accountable for my actions. So, the girlies linking, we headed out to the club. You know we getting a free cause we kill them, we fuck it up. Don't need no bread for drinks cause a stupid nigga gon' stunt. So believe we gon' use our looks to exploit and get what we want. Don't let me see him marry a jury cause then I'm locked in. I might seduce this nigga and drug him to make a profit. The while he laying conscious, so empty out all his pockets. Don't really give a fuck if he die because baby I'm rich. On demon time with these little feet of mine. Made 100K selling pics of these little feet online. Trick these stupid simps into paying $100 just for a glimpse of the nipple. I did that about 1,000 times. But I'm entitled, you niggas gon' have to love me. And I bet not ever see you put other women above me. I'll only listen to you if you fund my business from nothing. I'm trying to sell all these lashes to keep all my clients coming. So pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If
They all work together to create that one space. Now we're gonna go over these vocal throws, which I think are pretty simple. So this first one. Oh, also the same effects are on this hook as well. What would I give? Except there is an extra reverb and an extra delay. I almost forgot to tell y'all about that. Dang. So we'll go over this delay first on this hook. It is another Echo Boy that is a half note. And also I believe I automated down the quarter note so it's not as loud on the first on all the hooks. It's a little lower. But this half note delay is kind of the main delay for the hook. So I'll play that for y'all real quick. Let's just do that real quick. What would I give to be a girl in the summer? Let me mute these as well. What would I give to be a girl in the summer? So that's what's going on in the hook, and that is an Echo Boy, Echo Plex preset, a little bit of saturation. Then after that, I put a reverb on it. This Verb Suite Classics, I love this reverb, one of my favorite reverbs. Put that on here, turn the wetness down a little bit, a lot of bit, I guess. This is the preset that I use. How I use this is I like to go either through ambiances, like I usually go through the type, or I'll go through the type of reverb that I want to use, like the type of unit I want to use. So that's usually what I use to search on here. And then I'll organize it right here by the time and just find something I like. And you use the EQ on here a little bit, mess with these settings a little bit. Always, just play around with the settings. See if you can make the reverb sound cooler. And then I sidechain compressed it. Then I use this relay to just add a little bit more width to it. I'll A-B that one for y'all. What would I give to be a girl in the summer? That's it. Then EQ'd it a little bit. And then before it, high pass and low pass, very. Oh, also I did a de-esser on this one. I guess the essence was popping out a little bit too much for me, and I also use de-essers oftentimes to kind of dampen the reverb, because sometimes the S's and T's they kind of linger, like with they kind of splash a little too much for me, and it can be distracting sometimes. So I oftentimes use it for that, to kind of just dampen the reverb sound a little bit. I'll A-B that for y'all real quick. What would I give? But I did this on a delay, so I did the same thing, but just on a delay. What would I give to be a girl in the summer? Take hold of in, and I don't care if they suffer. What would I? Yeah, that's all that. Might not be able to hear that, but I was hearing something at the time. And then I use this Lexicon 224 digital reverb from UAD on here. I'll A-B that for y'all real quick. What would I give to be a girl in the summer? Take hold of it. I use this perk plate reset, and then I just adjust all these settings to whatever I like. To me, it's just like a field day. Like, why not mess with the settings? Just see if you can make it sound cooler. or different or more interesting. So I just go through and mess with stuff and just have fun. And that's what I came up with. Before that, after I did a little bit of EQ, kind of shape it and give it the tone that I want to give it. I'll A/B that.
What would I give to be a girl in the summer? Take hold of men, and I don't care if they suffer.
And I'll A/B this high pass and low pass filter before.
What would I give to be a girl in the summer? Take hold of me.
Nice and easy. All right, now we go into the throws. So on this throw, Echo Boy, I was using the Echo Boy a lot. I added another half note delay.
What would I give?
Honestly, this is looking like the same delay minus the reverb and the compressor. Maybe I just wanted it louder, and this was my way of quickly making it louder. Yep, it's the same thing. EQ is slightly different apparently. Uh, that's interesting. Oh, and I use the compressor. I actually like using the channel strip on all of my effects because you got a compressor and an EQ on it. And oftentimes I want to compress my effects, or at least I want the availability to compress my effects. Sometimes I'll use like a SSL channel strip or something, but oftentimes I don't want the color of the SSL channel strip or any analog emulated type channel strip. I just want digital, kind of clean EQ and compression on the effect. I already have created my color with something else, so I don't really want that build up of using the SSL channel strip on all my effects, because I did used to do that, but it kind of wasn't creating the depth and the separation that I wanted over time after I started listening more for that kind of stuff. So these days, at least right now, I'm using this one, and I use the Renaissance channel strip from Wave sometimes as well. But I like using this one actually a little more because it got more Q points on the EQ. So I've been using this one way more lately. But I like using the compressor, and if I want to sidechain, I can sidechain. Like, you got a lot of abilities on this particular one, so I keep using it. It be working for me. So that's what I did on this delay. And let's go to the verse. This right here is this. Okay. Use that on that right there.
If I were a girl, I would lie. Say,
Oh, we don't need to do all that right now. So I just use that for those two parts, just to have that and those kind of grunt sounds delay out a little more and have a little extra vibe. So put this Echo Boy on here, quarter note Echo Boy, a little saturation, Echo Plex. You know, we've been here before. Put a little Verb on it. If you don't got Verb on your mix, you wildin', bro. What you doing? A little bit of reverb on there. Stereo width, the stock. I'm using a lot of stock plugins in this mix. So I just spreaded the width a little bit on this. I like using this on my effects a lot. This is I used to use a lot of these plugins, and recently I've been rediscovering how great all of these plugins are. So I just use this for the stereo width just to make it a little wider. I guess I can kind of A/B what I did with the reverb and the EQ and everything.
if I were a girl,
So that's what we sound like then, and we put the deverb.
if I were a girl, I would.
Then we got the stereo widener.
If I were a girl,
Then we're gonna add some EQ and some compression.
if I were a girl,
Yep. And then a little EQ before it.
if I were a girl,
Nice and easy. That's all we got going right there. And then we got a basic quarter note delay throw on certain words,
scam niggas out their money, go on multiple days to convince.
which also kind of seems like it might be similar to this one. They're both. Yep, they are the same. because I already have a quarter note delay on, but I just want certain words to pop out louder. So I just basically brought those plugins up here for the throw. I did not put the flanger on it, and everything else, it looked like I put a deverb on it though. Yeah, I put a deverb on it, but I took the flanger off. So that's where I'm at on the deverb. Might have just copied that down from here real quick. Well, sounds a little different, but yeah.
Scam niggas out their money. Going multiple days to convince him to pay up for me. String this nigga alone so he does to think I don't want him. I need to manipulate for his bag and flies out the country. Who else gon'
It kind of just gives it a little more sauce, I guess, with the reverb and puts it back a little bit. It makes it sound like an actual delay throw and not that kind of just thing that's in the background that's flowing with the vocal. And then EQ'd it. I don't know if this is the same EQ or not. Similar. Very similar. A little tighter and a little
scam niggas out their money? Going multiple days to convince him to pay up.
a little compression on it as well. But that is that. And then the last one is this verb.
Drug him to make a profit. The while he laying.
Okay. So the reason why I use this verb as a throw on this song is there's certain lines and certain words that he's saying in this song that are very emotional. And this is like, I'm not really a mixed trick person, but this is one of those things. If you're in a room and someone's speaking to you at a normal volume, you're probably not gonna really hear the sound of the room that much. But if they start yelling, you're gonna be like, oh, like you, if you pay attention, you'll hear more of the room. Like you'll hear more room reverb in the room. Like you'll hear that way louder. And so there's certain parts where he starts like speaking more emotionally, and I'm subtly adding this reverb behind him to make it seem like it's just a little bit louder, a little more emotional. So that's why I did that on some of these words. And like how it's not in the front, it's like more and more as it progresses. Like I'm guessing this is probably a more emotional part, and then right here at the end on certain words, and then a lot in this last verse, just a little more emotional energy, a little bit more of that room, like that kind of subconsciously you hear that naturally. So I'll mute this in A B, like this area, because there's a lot right here.
Pay attention. Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If
Right, especially on fuck life being hard for you. Like if you listen to that line, just run that back and listen to that line when I'm ABing a reverb, it just sounds more emotional. It just sounds more emotional, more intentional. You feel it more. Um, and that's all I'm trying to do, enhance that feeling, make some people cry. And so that's all I did is use the reverb, use the room one on it, then put a little chorus on it. A little stereo widening. I just used this phase thing on here, which is kind of interesting. I'll A/B that actually. We'll do this.
pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me.
So it kind of does a thing, like a little weird thing with the stereo feel that I kind of like. And then this good old channel strip at the end.
Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me.
That's it. And then a little EQ right here before going into the reverb.
Pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life being hard for you. Pay attention to me. If I'm pay attention to me. Pay attention to me. Fuck life.
And that's it. That's all of the effects that I use on this song. Oh, also, I actually forgot to tell y'all at the end of I like summing my reverbs to this Verb Fader. That's what's down here. My face might be in the way, so I'll bring that up here. But oftentimes I might want to put some kind of stereo width plugin on it. I use the EQ on it oftentimes. That's what I did here, and I just rolled off some of the low end. But sometimes I want to overall shape the tone of all of the reverbs combined. So I have this Verb Fader, And on this one though, I just hot passed it. So just so it's not like I'm hiding stuff from you guys. But that's pretty much it, guys. Let me switch the camera back. Yes, that's pretty much it, guys. So hopefully, oh goodness, my chair falling down. Hopefully that was helpful. Hopefully, if y'all got any questions or any other content y'all want to see me make or go even deeper on any of this stuff, just leave me a comment. Let me know if you're liking the vibe. Like and subscribe. See y'all next time.